guys, today I want to talk about a topic I actually get a lot of questions about, which is how to find your chest voice or your belt voice. A lot of singers, I think, automatically start singing in a breathier, headier voice like this. Ah, even when they're in a lower range of their voice. A chest sound is sort of like what I'm speaking with right now and actually resonates in your mouth. Ah, versus a head voice. Ah, that resonates more in your head. So basically this video is going to break down, okay, if you can't find your chest voice, what can you do to access it, to actually find it? Quick intro, I'm Felicia, you can call me Fel. I'm a professional voice finder. I help people find their voices, and I have a YouTube channel where I give singing tips, break down some pop songs, some pop stars, and we just like have a good time and we sing, and please subscribe if you want. So if you're a singer who has found that your default tone is sort of disconnected, is breathier, is headier. Head voice usually you can feel kind of as being back here, like a, if it's a breathy sound. Hey, I'm singing, kind of feels like it doesn't really have any kind of groundedness. That sort of is an indication that you're singing primarily in a head voice. Another way to, or actually you're singing technically in a falsetto, which is a breathy kind of sound. So one thing to do first and foremost is to stop thinking of singing as being so separate from speaking. I think a lot of new singers, a lot of singers who encounter this roadblock, they think of their voices as being two different things. It's like, I'm totally comfortable in my speaking voice, you know, they can speak for days and have a nice supported sound, and then when they go to sing, they think it's a completely different thing. When really, they're very closely linked. In fact, your most natural singing tone comes from your speaking voice. So my first tip is to start with your speaking voice as an indication of where your chest voice is going to live, or basically where you're going to feel it on your face. Tone, kind of how your voice sounds, is all determined by your face and your head. Really, your chords come together, they create a pitch or a sound when you're speaking or singing, but then how that sound then lives in this kind of cathedral dome of your head really determines what the audience hears and what you hear. So, in the case of chest voice, you want your chestier voice to resonate in your mouth, where kind of your speaking range is as well, versus a head voice which can flip up into the cavern of your head right here. So, how would you do this? How would you kind of link your speaking tone to your chest voice? The thing I mostly recommend most often is to think of a really simple warm-up that exists in a lower part of your range where you would typically sing in a chest voice, and apply the word hey to it. You can say the hey as speaky as you want, hey, but as you'll notice, anytime you even speak a word, there's always a kind of implied pitch to it, right? A hey versus a hey, hey, hey. Those are two different pitches, although I am speaking them. So in the case of this, I often give my voice students like a warm-up that would be like, hey, ah, where we hit the hey, and I tell them, actually pretend you're speaking, or actually do speak, pretend you see me across the street, and you're like, hey, hey, and then hear that pitch, hey, ah, and then we kind of link them together. So the more you can start to see that chest voice song is really not that far departure from your chest voice, using a kind of friendly vowel like hey, or even if you want to go what, wah, wah, like something that will get you to kind of open and relax. I think the sooner you're going to find that your chest voice is actually so much easier than you think, and that your singing voice is not that different from your speaking voice. The next tip I have for you, if you're someone who's having trouble finding that chest voice sound, is to eliminate breathiness from your voice. It's so much harder to focus a sound and to create a nice resonance or kind of volume in your head when the chord, meaning your vocal cord, is allowing air to leak out. So it's the difference between a ah, which has no breathiness, and ah. Hear the difference? And a lot of times, the reason that breathy sound automatically pops up into what we can perceive of as a head voice is because we don't have the focus to allow it to spin in this speaky range. If I apply a lot of breath right now, breathiness, to my speaking voice, it's like, hey, I'm now in my speaking voice. It automatically pops up into a head voice. Really what that technically is like a falsetto. Falsetto means it's like you're allowing air to come through. But it does sound like a head voice, and as a result, your sounds will resonate back here. So what I would really recommend for you is to deal with, again, with a really easy warm-up, maybe a basic ah, and work on zipping those chords closed. Now, eliminating breathiness is a little bit tricky in that it's not really something you'll be able to feel necessarily. When you deal with chord closure or compression, you don't want to have to like overly close your chord or anything like that. But what you can do is you can think of the word uh-oh. Hear how uh-oh has that closure? It's called a glottal stop. You can think uh-oh, ah, oh, okay, versus ah, where the air leaks through. Another onset, or kind of an onset means the way you start singing. Another consonant that's helpful is a Y. If you say ya 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 ya, the Y kind of helps you nicely kind of close the chord. It's a very gentle adjustment, but once you are able to close your chords effectively, you're going to find that it's much easier to then maintain that sense that you're speaking and that you're spinning the sound in your mouth, which is where chest voice comes from. So the sooner that you are able to kind of zip up that chord, create a nice compression, you're going to get great breath support because you're not going to be leaking air, and you're just going to be able to focus the sound more. Ah becomes ya 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 ya. Oh my gosh, I can really spin it. It feels like I'm speaking. That's something I think is going to go a long way in helping you eliminate that heady falsetto sound from your voice. The last tip I have for you is a little bit touchy-feely, but it has to do with the fear element of singing in a chest voice. And believe it or not, a lot of singers I encounter who are used to singing in this kind of, it's almost like this restrained, like, head voice that I'm singing. It sort of comes sometimes, and I'm not saying in all cases, but a lot of times it comes kind of from like a lack of confidence and a lack of kind of wanting to be assertive. So when you're singing in a chest voice and it's supported and you're saying, hey, hey, there's a lot more effort and voice that is articulated versus hey, right? And sometimes I do find there is a correlation between shyness and not really wanting to go there and then using a chest voice, if you can believe it. So my last tip has to do with just eliminating the fear. Eliminating the fear of maybe creating an aggressive sound or a sound that you think of as yelly. Maybe at first this feeling of singing in a chest voice is going to feel out of control. But as long as you're not tensing, as long as you're using your speaking voice as a guide, it's going to be a natural extension of who you are. And if you're someone who encounters this in your singing, meaning head voice and leaking breathiness, you might also take a look at or just become aware of your speaking voice. Sometimes I do find that singers who, have a kind of like leakier head voice and have trouble in their chest voice, sometimes speak with it, or sometimes are, kind of articulating back here, and the breath's leaking out. So you know what I'm talking about. So just kind of be aware of your day-to-day, of how you are used to using your instrument. And I think the sooner you can zip those chords, and you can create that spin in the mouth that feels very conversational, the sooner you'll find that your chest voice is there. It just right now feels like possibly when you sing, there's like a switch and you suddenly have to be back here or operatic. The way I teach voice is that it should feel natural, it should feel like who you are, it should be an extension of your voice, of your speaking voice. I think you're going to find that it's more of a mental block than anything. Getting used to the sensation of speaking and singing in a chest voice is something that just takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of getting out of your comfort zone. So those are my best tips for creating a supported chest sound that you can then apply to belting, and really helping you find a voice that's natural and doesn't get lost in your head voice. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a comment. Let me know if it was helpful. Definitely subscribe to my channel if you liked what you heard or if this was something that was up your alley.